You're tuning in to the Cyber Hub and CISO Talk podcast, Veteran November series that honors the brave men and women who serve this nation by sharing their stories of service. Each year, for the entire month of November, we publish a daily podcast about these veterans. Buckle up and get ready for Veteran November. And now your host, James Azar.
Welcome to Veteran November, folks. It is November 1st, 2021, and we're back. So everyone gets a month to celebrate their cause, and I've decided, kind of on my own power last year in 2020, that why do veterans get a day? So I'm dedicating the entire month of November. Every day we'll put out a podcast at 2 p.m. Eastern, highlighting a story of another veteran. And joining me on our inaugural episode for Veteran November, one of my really, really good friends, Paul Cummings. Paul, welcome to the show. Let me just give an intro before you say a word. Paul is the Information System Security Engineer and Cybersecurity Research Engineer for Stevenson Technologies Corporation. And now, Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor.
Well, you're going to have to set the bar for everyone else. You're the first episode. People are going to watch this. They're going to go, I got to top up Paul. That's what they're going to say. So I hope you're ready for it.
No, I'm ready.
All right. So
just don't pit me against Stefan Simmeroth.
I will try not to, but I can't promise anything. I may have to do this like a Sweet 16, right? Kind of like do this like a college tournament. All 30 episodes, and then December, vote for your favorite, top 16, and then put them head to head, top 8, quarter, semis. Take it all the way to a champion. Best interview by Christmas. What do you say?
Hey, challenge accepted.
Well, for everyone tuning in, thank you so much for being part of Veteran November. Please make sure to follow and subscribe to the Cyber Hub podcast or CISO Talk podcast if you're tuning in. This is a no-sponsor show. Veteran November it's strictly dedicated to veterans who serve this nation. So with that being said, Paul, tell us just a little bit about what branch of the military you served in, what'd you do, and so forth.
So I was in the U.S. Navy. I served my 20 years. I just retired 1 August, and I am a continuous leader, still leading those that are currently in.
Right. And we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing, because you keep yourself really, really busy, which has advantages and obviously lots more of advantages. But how long were you in the service for?
20 years exactly.
So 20 years day in and day out?
20 years day in, day out.
So in those 20 years, did you do the same job, or did you switch around? Were you kind of, in the Navy, did you do multiple roles, or was it just kind of one role and you kind of progressed through the leadership of that one role?
Well, for the Navy, I didn't have a single role that I did for longer than 3 to 5 years. Started off as a help desk technician, computer repairman, and then moved all the way up to where I retired as an information system manager and information system security manager.
Brilliant. Let me ask you this. The U.S. military, of all countries that have service, and is voluntary. So what brought you in? Why did you enlist in the service? What was kind of your motivating factors to join the U.S. Navy?
So that's actually a joke of the family. I'd never lived in one spot longer than a year and a half growing up. Not a military brat or anything like that. It was just I bounced between parents. So right around when I was graduating high school, do I really want to do college? I was ready to get out, be on my own. And my uncle, who's my recruiter, we talked a couple times over casting a few lines in and fishing. Said, hey, why not give the military a try? knocked out a practice ASFAB from his recruiter laptop and scored high enough to land a job in information technology.
Were you dead set on being Navy, or did you have other thoughts? Did you kind of flirt with other branches of the service?
It was pretty much Navy. I'm a third generation. My great grandpa died in World War One. Grandpa died World War II, and my uncle died in Vietnam. So one was Army, one was Army Air Guard, and the other one was Army. So I didn't have it for Marine. I knew I wasn't, hate to say it, uppity enough for the Air Force. And I knew I wanted to go further than what Coast Guard had to offer as far as places to visit. So maybe it was it for me.
So your family is the true definition of a Gold Star family. You've been a Gold Star family for over now, what is it, a century, right? World War I was a little over 100 years ago. Wow.
And those are their actual. Sadly, they all perished in their respective wars. There's 3 silver plaques that you see behind me above Yoda. Those are actually their honorary retirement discharge plaques that the family thought that being how I jumped in and continued a family name, that I would be blessed to have them.
Wow. Did you think that was also one of the drivers for you to enlist?
No, in reality, I was bored. I really didn't have a path after high school. Bouncing back and forth between different parents. I didn't know where did I really want to be at. Story of hanging out with some riffraff, and that just wasn't a lifestyle that I seen for myself. And then I looked at my grandma who married my grandpa who was in the Navy, and seeing all the success he had for retirement, pension, the type of lifestyle he had after retirement, and that it was a no-brainer. It just sold me on the idea of, sacrificing 20 years of my life. If I build my own family, I'd have the means to take care of them for the long haul.
Let's talk a little bit about your military service. Tell me one skill that the military taught you that you think's been instrumental for you in your life thus far.
I would say servant leadership. You have managers, you have leaders, but the way the Navy treats you to where as soon as you make pay grade and you advance past E3, you get put in charge of those that are falling behind your footstep for you to leave. And truly, as a servant leader, you're doing the hands-on training with them. You're learning with them. In the case of IT, when new technologies come out, and it's just one of those things that I continue to do on a daily basis. It's kind of imprinted now.
You talk about servant leadership. What does servant leadership mean for? Do you think there's a difference in the meaning and definition of a servant leader from a veteran to a non-vet?
I'm not going to say there is or isn't. I think there is going to be the disconnect between military jargon and normal civilian jargon. With servant leadership in the military, it's all built on camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood, to the fact that, it doesn't matter what specific job anybody's doing out of the 150, 170 odd jobs in the military branches, that you have their back, you have their best interest, and you want to continue to develop them to where you can launch them to succeed in their life.
Talk to me about what America means to you.
That's a hard one. I battled this a few times as you brought it up to me. I would say welcoming diversity. I know it isn't a common trend. We see in the masses of hate groups, different types of movements, throughout the U.S. But think of the other countries, the other. I mean, 267 some odd countries in the world that don't adopt this policy or philosophy to where we give each other the right to have opinions. As a culture junkie, I love it. It's definitely waking up knowing that if you choose not to do something that day, you're not going to have a state official, a government official, or a country official, reprimand you for doing that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think welcoming diversity is a really big thing in this country. If we were to look at our military units and you'd look around of all the men and women who you served with, they all had different names, backgrounds, and stories. None of them had identical names, backgrounds, and stories. I think the U.S. military and the Israeli military are the only two to have that. If you go in Australia, they're all Australians. You go to the U.K., they're all Brits. Italy's all Italians. Germany's all German. Russia's all Russian. China's all Chinese. So, yeah, I totally agree with you there. Let's talk about what was one key takeaway that you took away from your transition at the end of your service.
Oh, wow. That's what led to a lot of the things that I do. Start 3 years out. I myself thought 18 months out gave me plenty of time, but I wasn't making those lasting connections with people on LinkedIn, social media. I was fighting the battle between Veterans Affairs appointments and setting up pretty much my retirement or separation, to the point where, it was literally right when I started my terminal leave is finally when I got accepted into my post-career. Whereas those that I've mentored, they've been able to, use this guidance 3 years out to really start making these lasting connections and getting their foot already in the industry.
Awesome. And tell me about one thing you loved about your military service.
You already mentioned it, the culture. Not just military culture in general, but, most of my life was in a small rural area, backwoods. And so just the massive amount of culture that was impressed upon me joining the service, and then the multitude of countries that I visited, it was just fascinating to learn how, for one, debunking stereotypes and prejudice that, again, we have complete ability to have in the U.S. that other places don't.
Yeah, the U.S. is 50 different countries that all agree on one thing. We all love the Constitution of the United States of America. So, Paul Cummings, folks, thank you so much for being the first guest on Veteran November. It means a whole lot to me personally to have you here. I hope our listeners caught a little bit. If you don't mind, in about 10 seconds, because we don't have a lot of time, tell people some of the names of the organizations you're beefing up to help veterans transition.
So first one is Vets to Industry. That's vets to number 2 industry.org. They're a nonprofit. They have thousands upon thousands of free resources, monthly virtual network mixers. Get in line with Fortune 100 to Fortune 500 companies. Cyber Future Foundation, working on something for my own nonprofit that I'm trying to build, whole cyber human initiative. A group that I follow near and dear is Naomi Buckwalter's cybersecurity gate breakers, and Christoph Fullen's Advancing Your Cyber Career.
Awesome. Brilliant. Folks, that's it for today's episode. Like I said, for the entire month of November, every single day, Monday through Sunday, or Sunday through Saturday, we'll be publishing an episode at 2 p.m. Eastern with another story of a veteran. So please make sure to subscribe, share, and thank these men and women for their service in the comment section below, or shoot them a note, either or. Without them, we wouldn't have the nation that we have today. That's it for us here, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. And most importantly, God bless the United States of America.
Absolutely.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.